Jose,
Hi, Stefan.
hey, please tell me you have the Open Championship on in the background.
The Open Championship for what's that?
Oh, golf. The Open is the one of the majors in golf. It's being played in Northern Ireland.
Oh, no,
Oh.
unfortunately, I'm not tracking that. Uh,
That's okay. I am. Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland.
Interesting. Yeah, I've just Googled it, and it seems like it has what they call a purse, which I assume is the prize.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's an insane amount of money.
Yes, it is. Insane amount of money.
So, are you a golf fan? Do you enjoy playing golf?
I'm a golf fan. Sometimes I enjoy playing. Other times, not so much. It's a very humbling game.
Hmm.
You can play it your whole life and still will will beat you.
Yeah.
I suppose that's what people like about it.
It's interesting. It's an interesting perspective because if you have a slight mishap, then it's quite taxing because you need to spend the time traveling all the way to the ball. Uh,
Yes. They
interesting.
say the best golfers have very short memories.
Huh.
So you know what I mean? So if you have a bad shot or a bad hole,
You need to start from scratch.
the sooner you forget about it, the better off you are.
I
Oh,
guess.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
good morning.
Morning, Stephen. Morning, Philippe. Morning, Jose. Morning, Allison. Morning, Anand. I don't think we've been introduced to you before. Is this your first time, Anand?
Yeah, that's right. This is my first time. I was just going through the Open Compute website and found that there are meetings and groups. So I just thought to, join and understand more. So I worked for Intel before, around 14 years, and then took a break, did my product management master's from Northwestern, and now I'm searching for a opportunity, but I'm also exploring what's happening in the world of compute.
I see. All right. Fantastic. Okay, so let's see if we have other folks that are going to be joining. So today is the day when the acceptance or rejection letters are going out. If you've filed an abstract and if you've gotten an acceptance, please let us know. I did my best to accept the best of all the abstracts. And oh, by the way, Allison, you should be good with your panel discussion and with your OpenSFI with Bert Renee.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I don't know, did you get an email yet from Kate Tendall?
Yeah, I've got the email. I think mine was
Yeah,
accepted.
you were approved too. Yeah. All right, fantastic. So UPCI is approved as well as Allison was as well.
Hey, Raj, just a quick question. Do you happen to know, does that email go to the person who submitted and or the speakers? Like, do you know who the
Yeah.
accept or reject
Yeah,
goes to?
yeah, it does go to both the person who submitted as well as the others as well that are listed as speakers. So let's say if I submit an abstract on your and Bert's behalf, and you guys are the speakers, I will get that acceptance as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Welcome. So yeah, it was very competitive this time. We had ton of abstracts and we worked through till last week, and then there was a frightening revelation this week, very late. Actually, it was last night, and I sent out a frantic email to Dongwei and Jean-Marie and Sammy, and they accepted that change. And so I sent it to Kate Hendel, who was nice enough to make that change. I'm not going to speak what those changes were, but you know, yeah, those kind of things do happen.
And then do you happen to know, do we have like, is it a half day again like it was last year, or?
Yeah,
It's
I can shine the ones that were accepted. And I have the times as well. Give me a second. Let me see if I can share. And I think, okay, I can probably share this. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so it is the entire morning here. There's half a day. So we start with the between Sammy, Dongwei, Jean-Marie, and myself. We open the session bragging about the projects that we are working on, and then that will be followed by you, Allison, and Bert. Is Bert here today?
I didn't see him join yet.
Okay. And then that would be followed by the UPCI. And then there is a firmware update that would be Jean-Marie. And then there is a streaming at flashless boot system. This is Intel and Lattice Semiconductors. And then there's a break, a 15-minute break, followed by bridging the gap, bringing HPE Gen 11 for OpenBMC mainline. This is yet again Jean-Marie and Christian Walter. And then that is followed by an ARM presentation from simulation to hardware with open platform firmware development. And then once again, for the road to full silicon transparency, this would be me and AMI. Is there anybody? Oh, Felix is here. Is Srini here?
Yes, Srini is here, but
He's not joined yet.
I don't know why he didn't join. Maybe he's having a conflict.
All right. And then there is one. This has to do with the impactless update between Microsoft and AMD. And then lastly, we have a panel discussion. Allison, so this would be your time to shine on AI. So that's pretty much it from the OPF. Any questions, anybody? And of course, Stephen, there's this one with Tim Lewis here. Was there any other submissions that you did, Stephen? Or
There was, yes. Tim is in Taiwan. He just sent me the notice that that particular one that you're showing obviously was approved. There was one in the hardware management, so that's outside the scope of this. One in hardware management that we submitted that was not approved. That was in conjunction with ARM.
Okay.
And there was an OPF, you recall that I updated folks on the, this was Tim's idea, I think originally. We submitted it with AMI inside, AMD, Intel, and Dong as the moderator of panel, UEFI and OPF, collaborative efforts to improve firmware interoperability and security. And that one was also, well, you probably already know that because I think you've seen these and been a part of it. That one was also not included this time. We'll keep them for a future event.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know how many OPF presentations were denied. I mean, that was one that you know many of us were a part of or would have been a part of. Were there many others? Just wondering about like competitive, you know, the bucket of OPF presentations.
Yeah, there were many in the bucket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think there were like 25 or 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
insane.
an OPF? Just under the OPF track?
Yeah, under the OPF track. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's good. That's a good problem to
Yeah,
have.
and so the revelation that I was talking about last night, there were two that we approved, and it just happened that they were exactly the same topic. Okay. And I was looking at the list last night. I'm like, oh my goodness, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And so I reached out to Dong and Jean-Marie and Sammy. I said, hey, you know, we need to make way for something else because we either want both of them to combine, and it was a demo as well. So you know, have them do a demo. And actually, that was an idea. The alternative idea came from Jean-Marie and Dong, that we could have them do this. And so I said, okay, so I'm going to take that out and pull this one in. Are you guys okay with that? And so that's how.
well, maybe at some point, certain projects can get more time. I mean, obviously, this is great that we have a morning block, but
Right.
and the event has gone to 4 days, so maybe, just maybe, the number of submissions overall for this global summit will drive the OCP personnel to think about. Well, they know the demand, so
Right.
they can
Yeah,
fill up probably a whole nother day.
right. Yeah, that is true. That is
Yeah, I'm sure.
so.
Okay.
So, anyways, so this is what it is, and
Hey, Raj, do you think you'll be able to put this into our Google Drive folder, maybe in the
oh, this schedule.
OCP? Yeah, yeah. It's just easy for kind of.
Yeah, I can do that, but in addition to this, this will be published today
Oh,
after
okay.
emails.
If it,
Yeah.
all right, if that's fine. If it's going to go live on the site, then I can wait a couple days for that.
Yeah,
Will
it
be-
will be, but I can definitely put it in on our Google Drive too.
Will the abstracts be published as well, or just the schedule?
No, absolutely, the abstracts would be published as well. So that's how we attract people. We get them interested to attend the presentations, right? Yeah. Now the challenge is, how do I unshare? There's no way to unshare. Oh, maybe here.
Bottom of the screen, maybe, or where it did say share screen, the middle. I don't
It
know
does.
what's there. I don't
Yeah,
know
no,
what's there now.
that's what I'm trying to figure out where it is. I cannot seem to figure that. Um,
I think someone else. Oh,
you know what? Let me exit out of Zoom and then come back again. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so let's get the meeting started. So I don't have a set agenda today, but Sammy is in India on vacation, and so he won't be able to join. I did send him a note. I still remember the action item, Stephen, that you gave us to update the OPF with the vision mission statements for UPCI and OpenSFI. And the action item was for Sammy to do it. I did remind him a couple of days ago, since he is out on vacation, I'll give him some allowance. And hopefully when he comes back, we can get that all sorted out. So on OpenSFI, the draft was released. The 0.3 draft was released by Bert a few weeks ago. Not sure if anybody had a chance to go through the draft and if that is all acceptable. I believe it is ready. We do have some pretty good details on the APIs. And notably, we started with one API, which was, I think it was called SFI entry or something to that effect, I forget. And then we decided that of having one API that serves the purpose of initialization and runtime operations, we just split it into two APIs. One is initialization silicon or initialized silicon. And the second one is the execute runtime operations. And we would pass in the stage of either the runtime or the initialization to this API. And under the hood, it will basically call into an appropriate function to initialize the silicon for, and same thing for the runtime ops as well. So the details are in the specification. Diagrams, I believe, are in the specification as well. I just want to know your thoughts. How do we, I think we've given enough time to review the documentation, but if there is anybody who has any specific preference on what to do next, in addition to that, I'd be more than happy to take that under advisement.
I was just gonna say, Raj, we started some internal reviews just at Intel so that I could give you some feedback. Unfortunately, everything just kind of got paused for a couple weeks because of what is clearly going on inside of Intel. And so we were just able to kind of pick up that conversation again a couple of days ago. So I do expect that, I'll get some feedback and comments in that document. It still may be another week or two before it shows up, but I'll certainly flag for this group and for you when it comes in.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Allison.
Yeah. So we're working on it just at a much slower pace than I had hoped, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I think we're doing good from a timeline perspective. We do have a lot of time between now and October, which is when we thought that we would basically release the 0.3 version spec, and we have ample amount of time to review, align, and then release it right before our presentation in October. Right. That sounds like a good level plan.
Yeah, I'm good with that plan. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we decided from last week, since I know there's the UCPI, there's kind of a section that's really related to UCPI in there. For now, I'm assuming we're going to keep it in there and we can just do the feedback in that doc.
Yeah, great segue into that. So
okay.
Yeah, we can keep it there. Felix and I had a discussion the last time around, and what we thought was that he would basically clean it up. We could take it out. I leave that up to Felix, just to make sure that we don't have confusion. It will avoid confusion if that section is in one place, and I think it should be in the UPCI specification itself, and we can remove it from the OpenSFI specification. And put a pointer there from the UPCI specification to, from the OpenSFI specification to the UPCI specification. And that sounds like a good middle ground, right, Alison? I mean, we do want to talk about that. It's very important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Felix,
I guess my question was, I agree with you, like longer term. I guess it was just a little more logistical, like because we don't have a separate document yet, at least not when I looked last week, in the UCPI folder. So I was just going to go ahead and give feedback and review in that one. But I'm okay if we want to split them out first. I'm okay kind of pausing and then putting it in a separate document.
Good. Yeah. So Felix, what do you think?
Yeah, so right now we kind of have 3 different versions of the UPCI spec, like one in this spec and then 2 separate documents. So that's
there are 3 documents that has this information, right?
Yeah, so I'm planning. So maybe, yeah, Alison, I mean, of course you're welcome to review whatever is out there, but yeah, I'm planning to merge that into a single document, and then it will be more practical. It will be easier.
Yeah, let's do this, Felix, on an urgent basis, maybe today, if possible. Can you merge the 3 contents into UPCI specification, right, into one document? And we can discard all the others. And in the OpenSFI, we can put a link to the UPCI specification. Can we do that with urgency?
Yeah, no, because I mean, mechanical merging is certainly possible, but as we discussed last week, so I was planning to do some edits, so that will that will take some time.
Okay, how about at least merging the 2 documents in the UPCI folder?
Okay, yeah, that I can.
Right, let's start with that, and then I will take an action item to, once you're done, once you give me once you send me a note that it is done, I will then take the information from OpenSFI and I will merge it into the UPCI, that one UPCI document that you create.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I see, Gary, you have your hand raised. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, just quick one. So as part of this SFI, right, can we also track the progress/error code standardization from Silicon side? I know we don't have to do it now, but just adding to the list, right, what we talked earlier. The reason I'm bringing it is the.
Oh, snap. Did we lose him?
Yeah, I was interested in that though.
Ian got all excited and then Gary disappeared.
Well, welcome back to the to the awesome meeting ever. Okay, let's wait for him. I think Gary's suggestion is very valid, and I think we have made a suggestion or made that that has made it into the spec, but maybe it deserves its own section and so on and so forth. Maybe we want to. Maybe he what he's saying is that he wants to standardize the error code.
Yes, sorry, I don't know what happened. It just disconnected.
Okay, so Giri, yes, your suggestion is very valid. I think we do have the returns for every stage. but what you are saying is that we want it standardized, correct?
Yeah, I think defining that, because I saw in the ARM side, in the ARM conference, right? So they were mentioning about aligning to EDK, or like the number of bytes, right? 4 bytes versus this. At least if we can do that, and maybe class level, right? Hey, if this is there, this is class level. It doesn't mean exactly same, Raj, but at least when we do these APIs or definitions, right? And if we can standardize those, that would also help.
And
Right.
that
When you say a class level, you mean to say, in our terms, in OpenSFI's term, you are saying at a stage level. Is that right?
Stage, and also probably a component wise, because it could be different, right? Some stages could be in a different order between Intel and AMD, as an example, right?
Sure. But
Yeah.
the error codes would remain the same between the two.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
The request is more for to be same wherever they run. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Does that sound okay with everybody?
one question on the boot progress codes, and Giri, I wonder whether you're asking about the alignment with the UEFI PI spec.
I'm
where the
not
boot-
asking specifically about aligning to UEFI PS spec, but I saw some in the ARM side defined. But let's review, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Is
Sure.
Can we think through that and say from OpenSFI, right, or SFI side, how we want to proceed, like based on number of bytes, or how do we standardize that? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the thing is, Jose, one of the ideas here is to be agnostic to those host firmware standards, right? Whether the host firmware is EDK or UEFI, or it is core boot, or it is whatever the third, fourth, fifth host firmware solution is. We want to be agnostic to that. So we want to create a standard that is specific to OCP, OPF, OpenSFI. And once everybody follows that standard, you can basically map it out. You can map out that standard to the specific code or an error specific to the host firmware or specific to the SOC or the second vendor.
Right, I see. So, but just reiterating to make sure I understood the logistics. Eventually, on the different host firmware code bases, there would be some new code that implements this error codes and boot progress codes that we will define within this forum. So there's no expectation from this forum of trying to achieve some sort of backwards compatible solution with what already exists on those different code bases. Is this a fair statement?
If we can, my preference would be if we can keep it
Yeah.
there, but we don't have to be strictly restricted by that, Jose.
Yeah.
So at least
And I
from a
guess maybe it's
silicon vendor perspective, right? Sorry, Alison, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add in. I think, Gary, too, like maybe a little bit similar to the essence of what ARM is doing. Like our intent is to leverage and reuse the other industry standard specs where they make sense, right? Like if we can use something that's already out there kind of to the same backwards compatibility or leveraging, we will, and we'll only change it if we can't make one work.
Yep.
So
yeah, I'm just bringing this up, Raj, is like, I don't
Yeah.
know if this will come up during the OCP or something, but at least if we can think through that, and we don't need to define anything right now, but this could be one of the things we can say we're planning in the future.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we can certainly take that the error code and logging standardization, right? We can take that under the 0.5 or 0.8.
Yep.
Do you guys think that?
Yeah. And
Right?
just so that I make sure like we're thinking about the same thing, like I'm envisioning this like in on that current spec under the API definition, I think on the return values, right? Like currently we just have, a 0 success, and then I think the non-zero errors are just TBD. So that's specifically where we're going to focus, is what we define as those TBDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, if it is,
That could be one way. Yeah.
if it is just like, success or failure, enumerations, that probably is perfectly okay. But I think what Jose and Giri are hinting at is the entire set of error codes, right? Not just success and failure.
So I listen, for example, if it is a memory, right? If the training successful versus failed case, right?
Yeah.
And more on that, it falls into the interface standardization, but also for telemetry purposes, right? So
yeah, makes sense.
So success and failure, and then in addition to, so that would be passed by the function itself as a return value, right?
Yep.
Any function, it will return inherently, it will return a success or failure. But in addition to that, additional information on success or failure, or the output of that function, would be through an output buffer, handoff buffer, right? Do we want to standardize that as well? That's the question.
Yeah.
that's I need more deeper conversation, Raj. Yes, ideally we want to solve that, but I don't know if we'll jump to that right now.
Okay, so because right now, what is important is that we provide a unified mechanism to for the host firmware to be able to pass arguments and retrieve results, right? Via a pointer. So the way it is framed today in the OpenSFI, it's both of these are pointers, right? An input pointer and an output pointer, right? Yeah. So same thing. Now, but the contents of these structures, right? Would that need to be common across the SOC vendors? Would that need to be? Do we need to drive commonality there? Because these structures are specific to the vendor, right? The information, the values, they are all specific to the vendors. Do we want to standardize all of that across the SOC vendors? That remains an open question, but that I think we should have a discussion on that.
Yeah. If it is an industry standard related ones, Raj, I think we should have some fields at least standard with the flexibility for additional customizations, right? Like PCI device, right? There are few things we need to customize in anywhere, right? As a simple example. So yeah, if we can think through that, right? I think that's part of the input and output definition. Felix, yeah, we can discuss this.
Got it. So this is a very excellent topic, Giri, and a very important one too. Since you brought it up, I'm not saying that I'm not penalizing you for bringing it up and asking you to drive it, but I'm saying that since you have the you have the impetus to drive this across, since you brought it up as an open, can I rely on you to drive that discussion within this platform?
Sure, Raj. Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Let me first sync with Felix to see, and Srini to see if, what they're thinking too as part of the input output too.
Okay.
And,
All right.
and yeah, I can put together some context.
Okay, so the one-liner would be to define the error codes and results, to define and standardize it across the SOC vendors.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
If I could add, if I could append a little bit to that action item, which should be just to make it a little bit easier to attack the problem. if we could bucketize, I mean, you brought up memory gear, right? But if you could choose maybe like, you know, an area to start on, then it might help scope wise, then we can kind of tackle them kind of
That's
by
exactly
a
what I'm
priority,
going to do, Alison.
like a
I'm going to
priority
call.
area, because I'm envisioning all of our errors and going, oh my gosh, that's a beast. But if
Yeah.
you choose an area, then it feels much more manageable.
Yeah, fully aligned, right? I don't plan
Yeah.
to boil the ocean for sure. Yes.
So Giri, to start with, why don't you start with making an entry into the requirement document? There is a requirement document in the OpenSFI folder.
Sure, Raj. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so that was that on OpenSFI. Anything else that anybody wants to discuss on OpenSFI before we go into UPCI? Okay, let's move ahead then. Felix, status on UPCI?
Yeah, so for the PCI, we had a big discussion last week. Actually, I don't have any updates today. So for the last 2 weeks, I was busy with my kind of day job, but yeah, expecting some updates before the.
Felix, do you
before the
sleep
next
in the
meeting.
night? Come on.
Huh?
Do you sleep in the night?
No, let's. That's a separate topic.
Yeah,
Yes.
me too. Like today, I woke up at 3:30. I couldn't sleep.
Oh, then you should have done it, Giri.
That's what I was thinking, Raj. What to do?
All right. Okay, sounds good. So over the week, over the next 2 weeks, Felix, because we do this on a bi-weekly basis.
Uh-huh.
Can you send something out or email as and when you have any thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then the first goal, of course, is just to consolidate those 3 versions into a single draft.
Okay, so that is good. Now, what did we settle to in our last meeting? Can you sound off on that?
So, a couple of things I think we enumerated some requirements and the use cases. So I think it would be good to document those. And then we've been going through different options for the formats that we are planning to use. And I think what we were trending towards is to first of all, to leave the door open, because maybe different use cases would require different formats, but then at the same time, for the mainstream scenarios, for example, such as passing input data to the OpenSeal interfaces, is to stick with the raw binary buffers. But the infrastructure should be flexible enough so that we can generate, like, for example, the binary buffer and maybe some schema descriptions from the same input file. So people it shouldn't be necessary to maintain 2 separate representations for the same data.
Right. So so essentially, I mean, what we settle to, I mean, the reason why UPCI is there is because we are not quite satisfied with the pure binary, right? Which is what the C structures are, right? They are pure binary representation of your data, both for input and output data, right? Now we want some interpretable binary, right? So there were and hence we started to look at UPCI. We started to look at JSON. We started to look at ASN.1. We started to look at CBOR. We started to look at proto buffers, et cetera, right? So whatever solution that we choose is definitely better than binary, right? And we want to go with one of them. Now, whatever solution we end up choosing, we will have to use use some function. We'll have to implement some function that will convert from an input perspective, that will convert it from a pure binary perspective to an interpretable binary. And then we will have, so we will have to have a function, implement a function in our library, OpenSFI library, that will convert from one binary method to an interpretable binary, and will need to convert from interpretable binary back to raw binary. Right? So that you cannot get away from that. You'll have to implement
Yes.
that function. Right?
Yes, but so we should have the ability to, yes, to convert back and forth. But essentially, like as you said, we need an interpreted binary, but then the question comes, we need the interpreted binary to do what? So it comes down to the use cases and the requirements. So that's why I'm saying once they will be on paper, we can use this as a criteria for each proposed format, like whether like which use cases require particular particular format, and which requirements are satisfied by particular format. But I agree with what you said, that anyway, no matter what we choose, there should be a defined way to convert raw binary into some kind of interpreted format and back.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and also, you know, from a use case perspective, I'm talking about external use case, right? Like Redfish, for example. There'll be many such use cases, and every use case will be using their own formats, right? Now, if you get sucked into that dilemma, on, hey, we have so many other, you know, out there we have, you know, everybody is using different. Now, which ones are we supposed to use, right? Should we use the most commonly used, versus should we use the best that fits our objectives, right?
Yeah. See, we should use the commonly used, which the best, and the one that works for us. But unfortunately, those are probably three different formats, and that's the main goal of this exercise, is to come up with some common denominator that kind of satisfies those three requirements.
And that common denominator, by the way, Felix, will change over time. So hence, my direction would be not to choose the common denominator, because that common denominator is going to change over time. And so what you want to stick with now, and somebody correct me, this is just my thought here, but we need to look at what best fits our objective. Allison, yes, go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't.
I thought you went from
in agreement. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So Felix, as a direction, I think you should look at what best fits our objective.
Yes.
Right. Instead of going with the common denominator. Okay. So think about it. You have 2 weeks. Let's take this as an action item to come back with a recommendation from this direction, and we can review that in the next session.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. All right. Any thoughts from anybody?
I was just going to make a comment here that in this approach, there are hybrid solutions. And in my view, it's conceptually feasible that you'd have a collection of different binaries. Some binaries can be encoded using CBOR, some others can be encoded using JSON. And you can also have some raw binaries in the mix. It's really up to the producer and consumer to agree on what the formatting of the binary is.
Right.
Right. And different producer and consumer pairs can have different choices there. So I'd argue that this is the most flexible approach. It allows us to comply or respect some of the requirements of the entire spectrum of firmwares. Because we keep talking about firmware and information that's shared between firmware stages in the boot path, but there's many different types of firmware.
Right.
And certainly there's going to be firmware that's capable enough of parsing or interpreting and making use of JSON structured data, but some other firmware may struggle to have that capability.
So if we standardize, right? If we standardize and we take one approach, right? It will become a forcing function for others to change, or not to change, but add additional APIs to compose or decompose the data coming out of OpenSFI.
Yeah, but just to use a very particular
example.
Yes. I imagine that you don't have cache as RAM.
Yes.
And you are you have some firmware that needs to be entirely contained within a piece of ROM. It may be that the people creating this firmware may struggle to integrate there a CBOR or JSON parser.
Yeah, so
even if you have the forcing function of this forum or the spec requiring some particular formats, the writers of that firmware may still struggle and may not be able to go there.
Yeah, I'd like to dig a bit deeper on this one, Jose. So here's what's going to happen. Let's say we choose CBOR. Okay, hypothetically, we choose CBOR, and the information that is passed from the host firmware to the OpenSFI is CBOR. Okay, now obviously within OpenSFI, we cannot take that CBOR data and pass it on along to my silicon initialization API, right? So what do we do in this case? We decompose it. We decompose the CBOR and produce a pure binary. And that's the API that we need to implement in the OpenSFI inside that library set of library functions. So we provide a method to compose and decompose. Both the functions will need to be provided by the OpenSFI so that platform firmware does not have to do anything. Silicon initialization doesn't have to do any additional work either. That work is done in the middle layer in the OpenSFI.
Okay, so that's an interesting observation. So I think that you're limiting the scope in the comment you just made, Raj, that the UPCI discussion is mostly focusing on how you structure or format data that you pass across the OpenSFI interface boundary, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really want the UPCI data structure to be shared with all firmwares. It's really just across the interface boundary.
That is correct. Now, if there are other firmwares that want to consume the CBOR data, right? Give me an example. BMC, right? If BMC requests that CBOR data from the platform firmware or the host firmware, sorry, right? Now, the BMC will need to have a similar function that they can convert from CBOR to raw binary or CBOR to any other encoded data. right? So the burden is on the other functions or other firmwares to interpret it, right? So when we standardize it, we will have to work with other firmwares. Now, we initially did have a discussion, and somebody please correct me if I'm misspeaking here. And Felix, I think you have been working with the hardware management guys. They were, I'm not sure what they were leaning towards in their usage of these compression and decompression, or composing and decomposing algorithms. Which exactly are they going to be using? But from a standardization perspective, I mean, they are standardizing as well. The what is that work stream called, Felix? MPM?
PNP, the MHS PNP workstream.
PNP workstream, right? So the question is, how far along are they in making their choice? If they are pretty far along,
yeah, they're using JSON, so I think, yeah.
Right. So there are tools available. There are APIs, open source APIs available to convert from JSON to CBOR and CBOR to JSON, right? So they can absolutely use that for their purposes. So now, is this a kludge? I wouldn't say it's a kludge. I would say it's a socket, right? It's a socket interface to translate from one encoding to the other encoding. Does that help at least shift your bearing in that direction, Jose? Or anybody for that?
Raj, a quick comment. I think we should leave the spec, just like how Jose said, multiple variations or multiple format of binaries are possible. But within UPCI and OpenSFI, how we want to do it, that could be another requirement that we say, hey, yes, we only want to support CBOR or JSON or XML. That is a special, what do you say, definition that we have to make sure for this particular format, yes, we want to use this format. Yeah. But generally, the whole handoff block, what we are talking about, the structure we are going to define can be multiple, it can accept multiple variations of the binary format.
Yeah, so that's what Jose was, bringing to
yes.
onto the table, was that, hey, what happens if there are other firmwares? So just for our firmware, between the host firmware, which is UEFI, EDK2, so UEFI based firmware such as EDK2 or core boot or whatever have you. From that perspective, from a silicon initialization perspective, from the SFI, OpenSFI perspective, we can settle to using CBOR, JSON, whatever. But other firmwares where we don't have a control over, or we don't have a full influence over, we could have them implement sockets to convert whatever we settle to, that encoding, to the encoding of their choice, and back and forth, of course.
I think there is one, I don't know whether you meant even that whatever encoding the very beginning, what is there in the firmware binary, that also we should not be saying that. It should be a type defined, saying, hey, it could be CBOR, JSON, whatever it could be. So yeah. It should allow, the spec should allow multiple variations of it. It's what it should allow multiple variations. Yes.
Which specification?
In the UPCI specification itself, it should allow multiple variations. But for our case, between OpenSFI and UPCI, what is the spec that we can narrow it down to one particular format?
Yeah, but UPCI is tightly coupled with OpenSFI, right? UPCI is not going to.
Need not be. It can have multiple.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of with Srini too. I think, Raj, like, like to date, we've been thinking of it that way, but we can define it to have that broader platform scope, which is probably more in line with like the scope of OPF in general, and then say, and then within that broader scope where we put these handshakes in, then we're going to specifically, you know, kind of define more details for the CPU socket.
So I'm trying to envisionize this, what you just said. So let's say if we have UPCI specification, what you're saying is that that specification will make recommendations for n number of formats, right? Encoding, which are already standard to begin with, right? We have a list of them. There are a barrage of such standardized encoding formats. So why even put that in the UPCI when they are already there in the standard? My thought, and correct me, my thought was that UPCI was instantiated specifically to address OpenSFI's requirements. Is that not so?
We keep evolving.
That's a great statement. So you will keep us all busy for
Yes,
for
yeah,
eternity.
of course. Yeah, of course. We learn.
Yeah.
We need to keep our jobs, right, Raj?
Yes, of course, that's job security. So no, on a serious note. So was that what was the impetus behind UPCI?
Maybe we started like that, what you said, but I think as more and more people we are thinking about it, we should not be narrowly focused only on the application process here, the compute system. There could be something else that would like to get the data from there. Yeah, that's what it is.
So what you're saying is there would be one chapter in UPCI that says this is what is recommended for OpenSFI. Am I right?
Exactly, correct.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. And then we keep on evolving that document to include more and more use cases for maybe for Redfish, for XYZ. But OpenSFI will remain where it is until there is a technical issue and we rehash the OpenSFI chapter in the UPCI. Am I still right? And then there was silence.
That works for me, Raj. Like to look at it as like encompassing the configuration across the platform, and the platform is multiple pieces of silicons and firmwares. And there's a chapter where we're going to specifically focus. It's kind of like breaking, it's like the error code beast. We're going to break that beast down specifically right now in the one chapter. And then on the others, we can figure out if we can just leverage or refer to other standards that exist, or if we have to do more work to converge.
Okay, all right, sounds good. So I think at least between a handful of us that have attended the meeting today, we have converged to the idea of UPCI document that will talk about all the encoding, or at least most all encoding methods that are out there as chapter 1. As chapter 2, we will address what we want for OpenSFI. And then chapter 3 could be for PMP or XYZ or ABC. Is that right?
Yes, I think it makes sense.
Yep.
All right, fantastic. We have convergence. Congratulations. No, seriously, this is great. It was a great discussion on this. It at least set the bearings on OpenSFI. I love that. We have converged there, and so for OpenSFI, I would like to see in 2 weeks, Felix, I would like to see your recommendations come in strong for this team. Okay.
Okay.
Right, fantastic. We are out of time. We are over 7 minutes here. Thank you very much for all the time, everybody. Really appreciate all your work outside of your day jobs, and we'll definitely, we are definitely making a lot of progress in both OpenSFI as well as UPCI, and looking forward to awesome presentations in October. And looking forward to a recommendation from Felix in the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks all.